My name is Nyaradzo Mashayamombe from Zimbabwe. I'm the founder of the organization for adolescent girls and young women called Tege Life International. Actually, I'm representing two organizations, that's Tege Life as well as Identities Media. I was very deliberate in including Identities because I want to believe the initiative that brought me here, it would not have been possible to just be able to push for the law that we managed to push without the media side of things. It was a privilege to be able to mobilize civil society in my country to push for the law, but also bring the ministers to the radio, to the television, sitting the minister down and holding them accountable for where they are with the Education Amendment Act on a television setting. And it was quite an opportunity to consistently question them, to say, where are you using the national television? So that was incredible to use both organizations. So as you can see, my name is Advocate Nyari Mashayamombe, or my other name you can call me Nyari, it's short for Nyaradzo. I am a women's human rights and media entrepreneur, and I think I'm the founder of Tege Life, as you have seen, and also Identities Media. I also have an initiative for Africa called Adolescent Girls and Young Women Africa that brings solidarity and elevates young women's voices in Africa since 2021. But Tege Life was founded in 2010, and we've been doing this work. And so the theory of change is an organization as Tege Life. We believe that for girls and young women to enjoy their full rights, we need to build agency in them, and we need for them to have a voice. How do we build the agency? By educating them about their rights. And also then they obtain a voice to be able to create movements that enable them to come together and cause change in their communities, cause change in the nation, as well as the region and the globe. And as far as our vision, we envision a safe world where girls are able to dream just like boys, to become whatever they want to be without hindrances. And our mission is actually to pursue the safe spaces and pursue equality, pursue inclusion of adolescent girls and young women to have a voice, to participate fully in life. And our objective, forgive the typo, is actually to create that voice and agency and raise women, ultimately women and communities that thrive. So our programs, we have a program, our programs run around adolescent girls and young women empowerment, economic and leadership, gender-based violence and peace building, environment and climate, education and psychosocial support, advocacy, sexual reproductive health and rights, SRHR and intersectionality, mental health and drug abuse, as well as information communication technologies. The projects that we have right now, we have the Leadership Economic Mentorship Hubs. This pretty much raises young women to be leaders in our communities. So even in the advocacy that we did for the Education Amendment Law, it would not make sense for me to just bring members of parliament together and say, I, as Nyari Mashayamombe, think that you should do this. There is need for evidence from the women and girls who are on the ground. So through the LEMS program, we recruit adolescent girls and young women into a one-year leadership program that gives them the voice and the agency I spoke about. But then part of that program then supports them to create movements in their communities, and within their communities they're working with their local leaders. And then on a national level, we're then bringing them to work with members of parliament when we've got advocacy work that we're pushing, including issues of education. Then they become the voices. Some of them are young moms who are either victims of alien forced marriages or teen mothers who then are failing to send their children to school. So they became the powerful voice during our campaign, that when we brought members of parliament and we're saying the young moms are failing to send children to school, and yet the constitution says it's your role as the government to make sure that every child is state-funded basic education. They can't deny it. It was the voices that we needed. And then the Every Child in School campaign, we launched it in 2017. when there was a transition in the new government, and the new government was promising social services and all these things. And through our work prior, we had seen that a lot of girls were being forced to marry young, were or simply not in school, and they were susceptible to gender-based violence or early and forced marriages. So we realized that education would remove them from all those vulnerabilities. So when the new government came into power, and the constitution that had been enacted earlier was promising that, we launched the campaign Every Child in School, and we demanded that the government would create a law that will enforce every child to have state-funded basic education. So we pushed for that campaign from 2017 right up to end of 2019. That's when we got the first policy. That was almost word for word for our petition that we had submitted with the relevant ministry, and we wrote letters to the president. And then in 2020, in March, the president signed the law into signed the education amendment bill into the law, and we celebrated. Where are we right now with that? We are pushing for its implementation. We're also pushing for funding for that bill so that it is practical. A lot of African governments have these beautiful laws, but their implementation, I think someone earlier on said that there's always then the need to elevate the campaign to say, where is the money? Are the schools getting the resources they need to be able to enroll those children that are supposed to be enrolled according to this law? And then we also work in clean renewable energy for women. At the center of our work is the women and girls, and we're saying we want to push for their holistic rights. So we can't say, oh, we're just working in education or gender-based violence. We want to include the girl child and say, how is she being protected from all her holistic rights? So that's why you see a different kind of programs. But I want to circle back in and say the Every Child in School campaign is the campaign that brought us here. And then we've got a center that sends children to school, about 20 kids, that we are very deliberate also to say we don't want to take too many kids and then fail to see them through. We'd rather take a small number and see them throughout, because our fund is very small. And I mainly like to function on a policy level so that every child benefits, unlike to take a few. But then when you get an opportunity to get kids who are over school going age and they are not in school, sometimes you just have to take opportunities that come. So that funder came on board and said, I want to send kids to school. We're like, okay, we're going to take a small number, make sure that they go throughout. Then Every Child in AGI Africa, that's the platform that I spoke about, bringing adolescent girls and young women from Africa. We had a fantastic meeting in 2021 where 15 countries from Southern, East, and West Africa came together, but they were coming. It was a hybrid meeting. And then this year, early this year, at the UN, at CSW, Commission on the Status of Women, we also brought the girls together again. And now please watch the slide. So yeah, I was trying to rush because I realized other people time. So this is the education amendment. When we were pushing for the Every Child in School campaign, that was a press conference that I was addressing, and some of the few partners that came to that when we were launching. This was, I think, we're building the pressure to the government. And then this was, at one point, we're submitting a petition to Parliament, so you can see Parliament of Zimbabwe, and some of those girls that were raising some placards after we'd submitted the constitution, the petition. And then that is the program that I spoke about that raises adolescent girls and young women to be leaders in different perspectives, in whatever they choose. Some of our young women are actually members of Parliament. Some of them have grown on to be mayors in their small cities. We raise them to be leaders, and they choose which side of leadership. Some are in politics, some are in civil society, some are in business. We're just saying, be the leader, choose whichever you want to be a leader in. And then our renewable climate, our renewable energy program, we built one of the biggest biogas digesters in our community, but then there's a layering also of economic empowerment that includes piggery, because then pig slurry feeds into the digester, but then also women get to actually engage in that in economic empowerment itself. And then there's also the nutrition garden. Those are some of the women that benefit from this. project, and I spoke about the center that sent the kids to school. Those are the kids that we're paying education for. And the Adolescent Girls and Young Women Africa, this was in 2021 when we brought the Adolescent Girls and Young Women from Africa. Tatenda siyabonga. Grazie.